afternoon, everyone. I'm Ernesto Mendez. I lead the Agroecology and Rural Livelihoods group in the Plant and Soil Science Department, and I'm a Gunn Fellow and part of the Environmental Studies program. I'm going to share with you today a study we did last year. I'm only going to call it Revisiting the Thin Months because the rest of the title would take precious seconds. We did this in collaboration with colleagues from the International Center for Tropical Agriculture based in Colombia with funding from Cure Green Mountain. What the general objective of the study was to analyze changes in the livelihood situation of smallholder Mesoamerican coffee farmers over a 6-year period and with a focus on food insecurity. What research has shown in the last decade is that these farmers face a consistent seasonal food insecurity. This type of food insecurity is one that we can predict because it usually happens at the same interval every year. As an example, and farmers call these periods the thin months or the lean months from a study in Nicaragua in 2012, where we can see that most of the farmers interviewed reported the thin months happen between May and September every year. The framework that we used to analyze the data was the Community Capitals Framework, which uses 7 capitals or assets to describe what is occurring in the livelihoods of households. In this study, we only focused on 4 of them: human, natural, financial, and social. We worked in, it's actually 3 Mesoamerican countries. First mistake, Mexico, Guatemala, and Nicaragua. 5 coffee cooperatives. We conducted 109 livelihood surveys at the household level, and 71 of those were revisited. So that in 2007, the CIA, the International Center for Tropical Agriculture, held these surveys, and we were able to use these for longitudinal analysis. We also did group interviews with the cooperative leadership. Here's a visual of where we worked: Veracruz and Chiapas in Mexico, Huehuetenango in Guatemala, and Matagalpa, Nicaragua. The photos show the Chiapas site. So the key indicator we used to measure food insecurity was the month of adequate household food provisioning, which is a very standard indicator in food security studies. And what you can see in the graph is that for all the sites, the number of reported thin months decreased. And this was significant for the Guatemala case and also for the full sample comparison. We linked the decrease in number of lean months to livelihood and income diversification. If you look at the graph, you see that for most of these farmers, their income sources doubled in the 6-year period. And also we found an inverse correlation between livelihood diversification and number of thin months. I'm not going to read the quote from the coffee farmer because I'm running out of time, but we really felt that farmers were telling us diversification had helped. What they did also say was that most of the projects that are supporting them in this issue are either funding diversification or coffee, and they want funding for both. They want to look for synergies between improved coffee production and diversification strategies. How we address food insecurity is very context dependent, so we need to learn more on the how, when, and where of the different types of diversification strategies. And finally, I think the evidence we found really supports continued investment in diversification strategies in Mesoamerican coffee communities. Thank you very much.